What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we know last Thursday, reports surfaced that undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Crawford. 38 wins, no loss, and no draw. 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, reports surfaced that Terence Crawford had agreed to all terms to face off against undefeated, unified, WBC, WBA, IBF welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., who is widely considered by many to be top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Errol Spence is 28 wins, no loss, and no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. So those reports surfaced last Thursday. With that said, there hasn't been any movement since then, and according to reports today, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford is still on the verge of happening by the end of the week, okay? And that Errol Spence stated and responded and said that essentially Team Crawford is capping and they didn't sign anything. Nothing is done, nothing is signed. So they are still looking forward to getting everything done for a future possible showdown. But as of right now, nothing is signed, nothing is done, okay? And this is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, highly anticipated showdown, and it's for all the marbles, for undisputed. So with that said, there's reports that, a deal could be over the hump, by the end of the week, according to, Fight Hype and according to Lance Pugmire, okay? So Lance Pugmire and Fight Hype, they're reporting that, a deal could be done by the end of the week. At the same token, it's being reported that Errol Spence has said that there's absolutely nothing signed, and that Terence Crawford hadn't signed his portion of the contract either. Okay, which is understandable. This is a massive fight. The fans are impatient. The people are impatient. They want to see the best fight the best. And in this case, you got Errol Spence, who's top 2, if not #1 in somebody's eyes. Some people's eyes, definitely top 5 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Terence Crawford is widely considered the #1 fighter in the world, okay? So this is a huge fight. This is a huge, opportunity, for both guys to build their legacy, and the last time we had a fight of this magnitude, as I stated, was September 16th of 1981, when you had 2 undefeated, legendary, iconic, now Hall of Fame superstar boxers, Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas the Hitman Hearns, go at it for undisputed. Now, at that time, it was only the WBC and the WBA titles. There was no IBF or WBO. And then, obviously, we had the granddaddy of them all. We had Floyd Money Mayweather, retired, legendary, iconic, Hall of Fame superstar, 5-division world champion, pound-for-pound king, the man known as Money, Floyd Mayweather, as he took on legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer, Manny Manuel Pacquiao, okay? And that broke every single record known to the sport of boxing, known to man when it comes to sport of boxing, okay? But the actual fight itself didn't live up to the billing, okay? It just didn't live up to the billing. And then this past weekend, to show and prove, is that you saw Gennady Triple G Golovkin, and 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be pound-for-pound top 5, the face of the sport of boxing, undisputed super middleweight, in Saul Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Triple G Golovkin. And it was anticipated. People wanted to see the fight. But the fight itself, it just didn't live up to the billing. Why? Because certain styles just don't match. Now, the first 2 fights, this was their trilogy. Their first 2 fights, it lived up to it. This last fight, it didn't live up to it, okay? the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight. It didn't live up to what people's expectation was because everybody thought that Manny Pacquiao was the man to finally defeat Floyd Mayweather. He was the man that was going to finally put a blemish on Floyd Mayweather's record and resume. And when that didn't come to fruition, right, people were disappointed, because if you didn't understand that Floyd Mayweather is a genius in the squared circle. He's a genius outside the squared circle, but he's definitely a genius in the squared circle, and he's always going to nullify what his opponents do great. And seeing as though Manny Pacquiao has career long been predominantly a left-handed fighter, well, we knew Floyd Mayweather was going to eliminate that left hand. Manny Pacquiao is not comfortable with his right hand. And so with that said, it wasn't an accident that the fight played out the way it played out. And I know some people say, well, it was 5 years too late. Well, Floyd Mayweather is older than Manny Pacquiao, and I don't care if it was 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier. Floyd Mayweather was going to always nullify Manny Pacquiao's left hand, and Manny Pacquiao was always going to struggle against Floyd Mayweather, as he historically has struggled with pure boxers. Eric Morales in their first fight, Juan Manuel Marquez in their 4 fights, right? This is historic, a pattern for Manny Pacquiao. He struggles with pure boxers, especially slick defensive boxers. So the fight itself just didn't live up to the billing and the expectations, okay? But then you look at, the Sugar Ray Leonard Tommy Hearns fight, 1981. Oh, that lived up to the expectations and exceeded it. And this fight right here, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, oh, it has the makings to live up to every bit of Sugar Ray Leonard Hearns, the first fight. Hagler Hearns, okay? It has all the makings of that, right? It's simply a can't miss fight. I'm hard pressed. Errol Spence is a big, fundamentally sound southpaw, but he's a pressure fighter, okay? Terence Crawford is a dog. He's stopped or knocked out 10 of his last 11 opponents. So Errol Spence, most recently in his fight with Yordenis Ugas, former WBA welterweight world champion, Cuban star boxer, he broke him down, broke his ribs, broke his nose, broke his orbital bone, and dominated Yordenis Ugas and took his WBA title, right? Terence Crawford, when he made his debut at the welterweight division, he dominated Jeff Horn, WBO champion. And then he went on to dominate everybody else as well. So in the ring, the chip on their shoulder, the competitive nature is hard. I'm hard pressed to see these two fighters not compete and not deliver in that squared circle. So that's the reason why it's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. And if you look at Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, looks like that could be December 3rd. And you got many people saying that that's going to be the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Domestically, it's going to be a huge fight over in the UK for sure. But here in the States, it's just not that, okay? It's a big fight because as the heavyweight division goes, so goes the sport of boxing. And those are two big heavyweights that have a lot of implications. But Anthony Joshua is coming on for a 2-fight losing streak. He lost both his last 2 fights, okay? Now, again, in the UK, huge fight. But in the States, not as big. And so with that said, it's just not going to live up to being the biggest fight in boxing. But Terence Crawford and Errol Spence is global. And it's going to live up to the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Competitive-wise, in the squared circle. Oh, it's going to do magnificent numbers, okay? Now, there was different conversations, different talks as to what took place, that's holding up the fight. You go check out the interview with Fight Hype and Lance Pugmire, and they, ironically, I just did a video earlier and I stated how they never do news updates in that manner, right? But that just goes to show that I'm a transcender in this sport of boxing. You understand? So with that said, they delivered this update in this news, right? That we're going to get a answer, immediately, right? It's automatic that this fight is going to happen according to Fight Hype and Lance Pugmire, okay? So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But it's definitely a highly anticipated showdown for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. And to me, it's a can't-miss legacy fight. It's a can't-miss fight of the year fight. And it's a can't-miss action-packed fight. I just don't see any way this fight doesn't live up to the billing. Just can't see it. It's going to be the fight of this decade, for sure. And that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV. All one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like your shitty videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.